Hey folks, Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, ancestrylands.com. We are here with you on Tuesday, the 22nd. I'm your humble host. I hope, folks, you've been enjoying the podcast, the live streams. We're here after lunch. We hope you've had a great lunchtime on the East Coast. What is this about breakfast time or brunch time on the West Coast? Shout out to all the people who have chimed in with the votes for our previous podcast with cousin CJ about the can a father run two households. The votes were in. It's very, very convincing. And shout out to the people who've always voted and comment and on the chat. We appreciate you greatly. Folks, today we've got a lot of news. We got a lot of news today to talk about. My first question is it time, before we get into all the heavy gritty stuff, I just want to ask you a question. Women and men, comment about this, whether you feel this is true or not. Is it time to end pretty privilege? When I say that, is that are we giving people's looks too much, qualifying? Are we looking at people's looks too much and not looking at people's characters? Are we looking more inside to who a person is, or are we falling in love with what's on the outside and we realize down the line, somewhere along the line, we made a mistake? And that's the part that I wanted to ask the question. So, comment on that if you do have any input on that, folks. Have you fallen in love with someone just because of their looks? Is it time to end the pretty privilege? And that's on both men and women, because I do think pretty people, or people with high beauty standards, and I'm talking about real beauty, not what you can look like on when your makeup's all done, or your abs are a little bit more defined on Photoshop. I'm talking about someone that's walking by and are naturally pretty. Do we give them more of an advantage over us in society? Or is pretty privilege real? Is it a real thing? I want to ask that question a little bit. In other news, if you haven't heard here, folks, I'm going to share some few things with you as well, because I really think there's the one issue of note. We'll get to the serious issue about Russia later, but the one thing I did want to talk about, folks, is that we really have a major problem here, and I'm going to share some clips with you right now to show people is that we have an issue here. That big good news: Democrats will get an automatic new bill. You'll get an automatic green card. This is Section 249 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, which, I don't know if you've seen the news, folks, but currently in the news right now, we're having issues with a super Boar invasion. This is something that was reported in Yahoo News. Here's a picture of the super Boar, as they're putting it here. The super Boar invasion that is coming to the United States by way of the North. And this was in Yahoo News. I'm going to read a little bit from this article because I think it's something. Sorry, folks. If if anybody is to believe this, but I'm going to read a little bit of this article here, folks, as we leave up the image of the super Boars that will be invading the United States shortly. This is a new immigration policy that the Democrats seem to have opened up, and now, even as the people are moving up, the immigrants are coming up from the South, we now have super pigs. And this is, I'm just going to get into it a little bit. You can read this on Yahoo News. They cite them, and this might be the new workforce that we're looking for in a time where many workplaces are looking for hire. And what I've discovered is I'm sorry, folks. It's just crazy, because this might be the workforce that we've always been looking for now. This super Boar of epic proportions, as Yahoo News has described it, for decades, wild pigs have been antagonizing flora and fauna, that is, areas within the United States, gobbling up crops, spreading diseases such as STIs, killing deer. Yes, boars do kill deer and elk or anything else they can get their hands on. Now, with fears over potential big pig impact in the U.S. grow, North America is facing a new swine-related threat, folks. This super pig, the Canadian super pig. I'm sorry, Canada, but you guys are bringing us, it may be better. All the people coming up, immigrating from the South, Democrats may be issuing new green cards for these super pigs, a giant, incredibly intelligent, highly elusive beast capable of surviving cold climates by tunneling under snow. I mean, if we think about what's going on down in the south of El Chapo, we have El Bacon in the north in Canada tunneling under snow, poised to infiltrate the north of the United States. Folks, I am not lying to you. This, I'm citing this. But thank you, folks. Thank you. I appreciate bringing the news to you all about what's threatening job security right now is a super pig, a giant, incredibly intelligent, highly elusive beast that will clock in and out for work and is pretty smart, can dig tunnels, and also will be paid according to crops that people grow up there. The emergence of so-called super pig, resulting of a cross. I can't even make this up. This is the news, folks. This is what's coming to your backyard. So hide your chihuahuas, hide your min pins, hide even a boxer may not be safe because these pigs will body an actual elk. They will body deer. So even a Doberman may not be safe. And pigs run in packs. These super pigs, they run in packs. They're a danger to the northern parts of the United States. New Jersey, all the areas that are now not allowed to exercise the Second Amendment right, you all now are in the line of sight and they mean business. They're also highly elusive. They're known to come out from behind cars. They're known to catch you when you're going into the house at your doorstep, and they'll be making their way down to the southern states to meet up with their cousins from the south, the other pig, the SA pigs, okay, down in the south. Folks, I can't lie to you. This is on Yahoo News right now. And what we have here is what I've shown before is that there is a new the Democrats have now allowed for, I'm going to just take this down for a second because I wanted to show you all this. Anybody coming in right now, the Democrats have allowed for a new automatic green card bill because of the intelligence of these super pigs from Canada. As they tried to decrease the borders, I believe this was Clinton's plan all along. Hillary Clinton, you've now succeeded in bringing in the new workforce. These super board pigs from the north of Canada are now coming in and they want land, folks. And I plan on selling them land too as well. Land they can tunnel under and make new ways for crops. They can tunnel all the way down to Mexico and we can actually just tunnel all the way up to Canada, folks. This is amazing. I've never heard any news like this, folks. This is quite the news for today. I don't know if you've heard this. Actually, I'm going to bring up the Yahoo article because I think people probably need to see that I'm not making this up. You just cannot make this up. We'll read it together because people don't seem to think that, I'm telling the truth on this. I really want to be accurate and reporting the news. I want to be as transparent as I can be. And maybe this is why inflation is going up. They're getting ready for our new work replacements, folks. Here we go. I'm just going to show you here. So Yahoo News, I'm not making this up here, folks. A highly, here we go. Here's the article. This was penned by Adam Gabbett, Monday, February 20th, 2023. Okay. Here's the pig right now. Here's the, they caught two out there. These are straggle pigs here. Okay. These are the straggle daggles of the intelligent brand, because, even in this country, we have more affluent people and we have less affluent people. These are ghetto pigs right here, folks. Ghetto super pigs. These are the ones that got caught. They're highly elusive, coming from northern Canada down into the States, and they're looking for jobs, and they're going to be apparently given green cards by the Democratic Party. And they're going to be here. This says right here, it's a new swine related threat, a super pig, a giant, incredibly intelligent, highly elusive beast capable of surviving cold climates. So even on the streets of Chicago, they will be out at 3 a.m. in the morning with Jesse Smollett and Chicago areas looking for people to get for real ops, opportunities, or people walking by unsuspecting with putting a noose around his neck, I guess, if that's the case. And they're poised to infiltrate the north of the country. So even in Chi-Town, there may be some new ops on the streets, these mean streets that we all live in, folks. This approximately there says pigs are not native to the U.S. but have wrought havoc in recent decades. If anyone is down in southern Texas, you know about the feral hog invasion that is going on in the southern parts of the states. Well, now we've got infiltration coming in from the north, and they're more intelligent pigs, and Canada is somewhat responsible for this travesty that is happening in the United States. And the government estimates that the country's approximately 6 million wild feral pigs cause $1.5 billion of damage each year. Folks, this is one of the other reasons why our taxes are going up. These pigs, they're looking for jobs and they're wrecking the community, folks. Where are the police at when we need them on this stuff here? Okay, they're taking away rights. They're doing away with the RA 15. I'm reversing it because I don't want to say the real actual firearm, but they're doing away with the bump stocks because they're bringing in this new workforce, folks. That's what the issue is going on. Why is it the NRA and the other communities are not talking about why we need to protect ourselves from these highly intelligent gangster pigs? And if you think I'm coming at the Democrats, I'm not, because the Republicans have got another issue on their hands, folks. We're going to come right back to this in 1 second. I just want to show you another screen because I've got word in here that now the biggest issue that the Republicans are worried about is not anything else. It's not even the jobs part. What they're more concerned about is actually replacement job force, because these pigs may be more intelligent than them. This is what the pigs are applying for jobs on the workforce, folks. This is what the Republicans are scared of. They're scared of pigs actually doing a better job in the U.S. as them. Once they start working as fry cook and they move up to manager, they plan on running for political office. As you know, we do share a lot of DNA with pigs. So why can't we have them run the country and probably do better than our current political party? And this is the super pig that the Republicans imagine coming down and taking up good government positions for high collar white class workers or white collar workers, folks. This is what they're afraid of. Mr. Pig coming in and taking up good American jobs. But I dare say this gentleman looks like he could run most of the country better than our current administration. I don't know, folks. You tell me. What do you think? Because to me, if this is a highly intelligent, giant, capable boar that is elusive, then why don't we have them running the country instead of our current politicians, which do not seem like they can match the intelligence of this dashing man here? Ready for it. Folks, I'm telling you right now, we've got some real big problems in this country when we have giant, super intelligent pigs coming in of mythological proportions. I'm going to show this picture again for people coming in late. You might have not shown up early to this. This is serious. I mean, this is real serious right now. Like my father says, son, it's serious. It's serious. The hunt is on and you're the prey, right? This is a problem going on in this country, and I'm bringing it to you first. That's one of the things you will get on this podcast is someone bringing you news that no one cares about. They're going to talk to you about jobs. They're going to talk to you about, immigration. This is real bad immigration coming in. It's not people coming here from the South because they have families, they're looking for work and opportunity. These pigs are eating free in this country. These boars are coming in. They're not even crossing U.S. customs and checkpoints. They're burrowing tunnels in the snow, can survive frigid temperatures. I mean, what are we going to do about that when we have heating? I mean, how do you protect your children when you have giant boars taking jobs? They can tunnel under there. What's next? They'll farm. They'll turn from eating the crops to growing the crops. Maybe they'll start working in government offices, as we've shown you here with the boar in the suit. That's what they're really scared of. And look at this right here. Here we go. Now it's beef between species here, folks. Look at this. I'm going to go back to share this article because you know what's happening right now? People think that I'm making this up. People think, look, in parts of the country, the pig's prevalence, I don't know. Can we get some hunters in here to talk to us about why we need to write to our senators on why we should have? I mean, again, we worry about, people on people violence, but what about when the pigs start taking people out? These boars start taking people out. And I'm going to right here, in parts of the country, the pig's prevalence has sparked a whole hog hunting industry where people pay thousands of dollars to mow down boars. Now, again, I understand there are a lot of people out there that don't want to see animals hurt, but anyone that loves deer, Bambi, right? We all have a heart for Bambi. When Bambi was in the field and the mean old hunter that was just looking like a shadow went and gunned down his mother in the middle of the field, and he had to grow up with Thumper and all the other people out there. What about the Bambis in the world? The Boars are now taking out deer and elk. What about all the elk hunters, the elk environment? Again, if we don't do something about this, folks, there could be problems with the other areas. What about bears? Everyone loves bears. So the people who have a problem with us taking out these highly intelligent giant pigs that are highly elusive, again, they're everywhere, folks. They may be in your backyard right now. Did you leave your daughter outside to go play alone? Did you leave your kids outside to go play alone? While you're worried about mountain lions, bears, or even brothers that are walking around sagging their pants, you should be worried about the real threat, this giant pig from Canada. And what are we charging the Canadian government for letting this happen, bringing the pigs over to our side of the country? And not only that, how many jobs are going to take away? How many jobs are they going to take from us, American people? I say this in all seriousness, folks. What if they're going to give them green cards for immigrating over here from the north? Because again, if you emigrate from the north, it's different than coming up from the south. The northern border doesn't seem to be that protected. Maybe Trump was trying to protect us all along from this invasion. This was why he was trying to build a wall. But he built it in the wrong direction. He should have built it up to the north, because now we have El Bacon, not El Chapo. We got El Bacon, El Pigue. My Spanish people help me out here with what's the Spanish word for pig. I know my dad's going to be super disappointed in me about this one. But the El Bacon in the north is tunneling under who knows what other kind of things. They already are bringing diseases to other animals. Your dogs can get sick. Your cats can get sick. And again, and you know who's watching this, folks? You know who's watching to see if they actually can get a leg up in this? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you real quick. I don't have a whole, one thing my dad always talks about, and this is what I want to show everybody, they get an automatic green card for Immigration and Nationality Acts. Soon pigs will be asking for actual citizenship. You know who's really watching us? Is it Russia? No. Is it China? No. You know who's watching us, folks? The iguanas. That's right, the iguanas. They're waiting on your terms. You've heard about the reptile, the lizard men and women that are out there, folks. I tell you, no lie. You know who's watching to see if Mr. Pig can get a job in this country after invading here? This is what they look like first. And this is one of the problems that I have with the Republican Party. They're talking about hardworking people, and now it'll be animals that are coming over into the country looking for opportunity. This is supposed to be land of the free. And here we have it that the Democrats have preached so much about immigration that Boars have decided they want an opportunity in this country, folks. And they want not just to get over here by way you can see this. This is actually on the Canadian border, reporting live, watching. We've just gotten this screenshot here of an actual boar crossing over into the US. And I don't know if you could tell right here, but this boar, the tree is in the background a little bit, folks, but this boar is much bigger than the tree back there. So if you think you see a moose in your backyard, it could be an actual boar. If you think it's a chupacabra, if you think it's a bear, no, the boars are starting to take bears out. And the worst thing will be is when they come and the boars will be in suits. They'll shave. This is a shaven boar, folks. This is a shaven boar, a threat to our sovereignty. Where is the NSA when you need them on this one? And then again, after that, we've got the iguanas watching in the background, the lizard people, folks. They're reading the newspaper, just keeping an eye on the action so they can make an invasion. You've already seen this happen down in Florida, folks. It's crazy what's happening right now. I wanted to let you all know this is all seriousness. We'll finish up on this article real quick. I'm going to come back to this because this is a threat to the American people. We see direct. I'm going to get right here. Sorry, folks. My mouse is a little off here. The emergence of the so-called super pig a result of crossbreeding domestic pigs with Who is breeding pigs with domestic wild boars? Who is that? Somebody please call people out in West Virginia and tell them, Avon, get your people out from. I'm not shouting out Avon, but he's in West Virginia. Can we check in with Avon and see what is going on with people crossbreeding domestic pigs with wild boars? Who is doing this? What experiment is going on? It only adds to the problem the U.S. faces from the swine invasion. I'm sorry, folks. Years ago, I worked in Arizona. We had a thing called the swine flu. Now we're having a swine invasion. We've already covered the havoc that they reach on. They reach on the country right now. The pigs were first introduced back in the 16th century. There's been much negative. They've faced real inequality as the undiscerning swine has chomped its way across the country. It's already here, folks. Already happening here. You know what I mean? I have a 5-month-old child, and honestly, you know who I fear for most? I feel for the elderly. I feel for my parents. My mom, she leaves to go to work. Shout out to my parents down in Publix, down in Florida. And how many mornings is she looking out for, an alligator down in Florida? How many times is she looking out for, I think they have jaguars down in Florida. How many times, maybe if you're in the Midwest, that you're looking out for bears or cougars, right? Mountain lions, not the older women cougars, but I meant, bears, cougars. I don't think anybody worried about them. But any which way, maybe you are. And you got to now be worried about a daggone boar coming out and chomping you up at the bits. We see direct competition for our native species of food. So I'm sorry, hold on. Already we've introduced boa constrictors, right? The pythons down in Florida. Now we've got alligators. They're getting deaded by the boa constrictors. And now we have super pigs from Canada coming into the country. And listen, where you thought you were the predator of a person who loves bacon, I love bacon as well. My wife and I, we get into so many counter arguments over unhealthy bacon. Folks, I have gone to Whole Foods to get bacon with no nitrates, no this, and that, GMO, whatever else, because she gets on me about bacon, right? Now, I think this changes my argument because I'm actually doing a service by taking pigs, these boars and their family off the map by eating bacon. We should actually have an executive order from Joe Biden that now every household, with the exception of people who have religious exemptions, all right? Because if you're mandated COVID-19, then you should mandate the more eating of bacon. The bacon industry, folks, I'm going to give you a stock tip, unsolicited stock tips. Say your Uncle Phil told you first. Now is the time to invest in bacon. If you don't have a job, you should look at being a bacon farmer. My cousin CJ, I'm giving you a business idea. Go out and be a boar hunter. Hold on. First of all, I got an idea for the Black community. I have an idea for the Black community. Instead of killing each other, why don't we become the boar hunting gang? Could you imagine it, folks? All the people from Chicago, all the people from New Orleans, all the gang leaders get together and unite and become the Boar Assassination Squad, right? Why can't we give the Black community those jobs? If we are done killing each other, why don't we try on Border Patrol in the North? We can have the border agents down in the South, and the Black community can unite finally, and we can deal with this invasion of Boers. All right? I mean, we took the PPP loans and we bought guns and jewelry. And we can do it we can do it in fashion too. We can have all the gold chains and everything. Hip hop songs, blast them out. They're elusive, so we gotta kill them with sound. We could put on the best or the worst rap music, and we can go out there and we can look. We already called police officers. Why can't we deal with the real pigs? Look at this. However, pigs are also accomplished predators. Folks, I'm telling you, this is no lie. They're opportunistic. When they come upon a hidden animal, the male, they'll opportunistically come upon. I did go to Catholic high school, so I can read. They'll opportunistically come upon a hidden animal. The males have long tusks. So if you think that you're going, this is why I'm afraid for my mother. I'm afraid for my grandmother, Grandma Lois down in Virginia. Listen, my aunts and uncles in Virginia, I'm telling you, you better protect grandma. You hear me? My grandmother, I actually have a grandmother. Kids have a great grandmother still living. The males have long tusks. So there is no way that you're going to be able to just get by this pig with a broom or anything else. They also are strapped with a weapon. Again, it says they're accomplished predators. So again, and Yahoo is giving them some sort of award for being an accomplished predator. Forget about lions, forget about dogs, forget about anything else. This makes the case for us as a Black community to stand up, and now we can have a source of employment defending the borders from super predator pigs here. And I mean, they're accomplished predators. They have the gold standard of whatever predation. Hell, even the Yalchas might be looking at them as, forget about aliens. Yalchas, all my comic book fans here, the predators from the Predator movie series. Shane Black, I got a new idea for you. You should do Predator Yalcha versus Super Boar. Because again, they tunnel underground just like Arnold did, and they'll decrease their heat signatures because they're tunneling and they're elusive and they can survive in the cold, which means that the predators are now outmatched. You see how this is going, folks? This is what we're up against. Okay. They'll opportunistically come up upon any hidden animal. The male have long tusks and they're capable of running and grabbing one with their mouth. Folks, if you think you are outrunning a boar, these Canadian boars, you got another thing coming. They will take, little kids are not safe. Dogs are not safe. Chihuahuas are not safe. Cats are not safe, right? If you start, all those people like that, I have a complaint about that. And I'm not talking to the cat owners of America. The people who are cat owners, they tend to let their cats outside. Dogs got to be unleashed. Cats can't. Okay. I don't want to get in trouble with the cat community. But again, I'm sending out a warning right now. Okay. The cats can be taken out by these boars. They will delete young fawns. They're also known as nest predators. So if you think you're going to hold up, and look, they're already going to ruin Thanksgiving. They will impact turkeys and potentially quail. So all you older people in the Midwest that like going quail hunting, you're probably going to have to not bring some buckshot or birdshot. You have to bring some buckshot for these pigs. They're responsible for a laundry list. See, again, where are my climate control people? Where are the EPA? Maybe this is what the EPA is not focused for in East Palestine, Ohio. Maybe this is what they're focused in on. They're also responsible for a laundry list. I'm right here. Laundry list of environmental changes ranging from, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, folks. I'm trying to get through this. Okay. I read this a little bit last night. I did not read the article. This is not a scripted show, folks. Sometimes, like my dad said, shout out to my dad. I appreciate my dad. He watches, that's what I love. He didn't watch until I started coming with this kind of stuff, but shout out to my dad. I didn't want a scripted show. I did not. I wanted a show where I could just naturally read stuff off, because again, when you're reading this stuff in your own mind, you might be thinking like I do. All right. Now, I didn't read the rest of the sentence, but I just stopped here. I thought they were going to say that the pigs were responsible from eating innocent farmers, but innocent farmers' crops, to destroying trees and polluting the water. Hold on. Trees are what absorb carbon dioxide. Where is Greta Thunberg on this one? And polluting water. Hold on. You mean to tell me, and again, I'm not making light of the devastation and destruction in East Palestine, but maybe the EPA is really concentrated on this, folks. Can we get some answers from the EPA? Pete Buttigieg. Can we talk to him and ask him? I would love to see at a news press conference somebody from Fox News or CNN to ask about the Super Bowl issue. All right. Because our government's job is to defend us from any threat. They're calling it an invasion, folks, right here on Yahoo. I'm reading an article. They're calling it an invasion. They're talking about any threat, foreign or domestic. This is a domestic threat that has environmental damages up there. We're talking, California's doing away gasoline by 2035, right? Can't have a gasoline car that's going to be purchased. What are we doing about the Super Bowls? This is a reason to arm all our citizens, folks, to get back into defending our American rights, our country, our soil. We should defend our stuff from the super pig. The males have tusk. They will run down. They are nest hunters here. My mom's calling me. Mom, I'm doing a show. Don't call me on the show, Mom. I'm doing a show. You got what you got. Look at my mom. My mom's calling me right now. Mom, I'm telling you right now, listen, get the strap. Like 50 said, get the strap. All right. You don't need to be calling me. You need to be going down and exercising your 2A amendment right, because this is what's happening deadly here. Okay. My mom's trying to call me. Mom, I'm doing the show. I can't talk to you right now. I'm trying to give you information. Watch this show. Comment in the chat and tell me what's going on. Are you safe, Mom? Are you safe? My dad works at a golf course. Shout out to my pops for being a proficient golf manager. A golf cart. He manages the carts. My dad may be in danger. They already have an iguana. And again, we told you the iguanas are down there watching. They're waiting. There's iguanas are heavy in Florida. That they live down there. There's a lot of them. And they're waiting and watching what these wild boars do. You might ask, what does this have to do with land? Well, they're destroying crops. They're going to destroy water sources. Well, land is involved in that, folks. It has something to do with land. Somebody's been made. Listen, what we need to do is have Congress forget about Twitter. I want to see Congress do an investigation. Forget about January 6th, folks. I want to see Congress do an investigation to find out who has been mating the regular pigs with these wild pigs right here. They said it here. Where did they have it here? They had it up here somewhere up in it. I covered it a few minutes ago. If you just came in, you're missing this right now, folks. You think your sis? Listen, any of my aunts and uncles, you all have a moral responsibility to protect my near 90-year-old grandmother from the pigs, these super boars from Canada. Where's Justin Trudeau? We should have reparations for this invasion here. Canada should be paying the bill. My homeboy Rob from college, sorry, I know Adil's from Canada, but guess what? The Canadians owe us a little bit of money for this, okay? They've lived a benign existence. Anybody know what benign? Look it up. Look it up, folks. Benign up until now. So something has turned them violent. Look, they've lived a benign existence up until now, Probably 3 or 4 decades ago, we started seeing rapid excursions in areas we haven't seen before. So they're looking for new territories, hunting, spreading out like a disease. Wild pigs are easily the worst invasive large mammal on the planet. Yo, they're taking number one. They're not settling for anything else. And this is something that should be issue. We all should be united as humans, folks. They're incredibly intelligent. I mean, I don't know. What are they taking SAT scores over here? What do you mean they're highly intelligent? How do you know they're intelligent? If they're elusive, how can you say they're intelligent? Where are you doing studies at? I want to know. Man, sometimes people on Yahoo, man, I'll be reading these articles, man, and I'm like, man, I don't even understand. Oh, listen to this. Look, listen. They're highly elusive. And also when there's any pressure on them, these pigs are like championship players, man. They're the Michael Jordans as a species in basketball, but for pigs. Especially if people start hunting them, they become almost completely nocturnal. That means these pigs will switch up their schedule routine, right? They become very elusive, hiding in heavy forest cover. Should the military be looking for them? Like, I know they said military is suffering some like low, involvement numbers, but why can't we just hire? Why can't we deploy? Should we draft pigs, super pigs from Canada into our military forces? Shout out to all the military people, but just think about it though, right? Why can't we weaponize these pigs? They hide heavily in the forest cover. They disappear into the wetlands and they become hard to locate. I mean, this sounds like the pigs. I mean, they're apparently intelligent and they can hide. Listen, they know if people start hunting them, they become almost completely nocturnal. They will switch their circadian rhythms. I'm a nurse. Yes, I am a qualified medical professional with over 20 years of practice. They completely become nocturnal. Do you know how hard it is to change yourself from a daytime person to a nighttime person? These pigs can do it when they feel the threat of being hunted. So again, this is where we need our expert people from gangs to come in and start looking at. These are the truest ops. I mean, how many Ray Rays, Taquans, Taunishas, how many Mariannes, Ma Bells, how many Susan B. Anthony's will be a direct result of this Super Bowl invasion? They hide heavy in the forest cover, and they'll disappear in the wetlands. They'd be very hard to locate. And this is a great topic because I've had a lot of people comment on some of the talking points. Some of my family members are scared for me to talk about things. What about this content? It's okay for you guys because that's where I'm going to go in some areas, right? And look, Brooks and others, Yo, honestly, I just look at this and say, man, if they're worried about it, why shouldn't we be? Right? The emergence of a super pig, all right, created by farmers crossbreeding. Listen, man, I was born in 81, so this has nothing to do with me. Farmers were crossbreeding wild boars and domestic pigs in the 1980s. It was the result was a larger swine, which produced more meat and was far easier to shoot in the Canadian hunting reserves. These pig, yo, first of all, so this was planned. This was planned. They escaped captivity. Yo, you talk about, listen, man, Black people, we should take examples from this one. They escaped captivity and swiftly spread across Canada, with the super pig become proven to be an incredibly proficient breeder. Right? Look at this. They were first bred. All right. Listen, this is a super boar story of slavery, emancipation. They escaped their slavers, they spread out across, and now they're a problem invading Black people. We should look at this as an example of what we should do to unite and dominate. Cousin CJ, I'm right with you. This is how you change. All right. Let's look at it. The pigs, these are super wars we're talking about, escape captivity, spread swiftly across Canada, with the super pig proven to be an incredibly, this is on Yahoo, folks, proficient breeder. They don't. Did they have any clinics for them? While its giant size, I mean, this sounds like I don't know. Are they talking about Black folks at all? One pig had been clocked at more than 300 kilograms, 661 pounds. Yo, I'm sorry. If you, yo, imagine you coming from the bar club. You've got a nice tenderoni, or you've got a guy, a Chad, a Giga Chad. He's sitting there with six-pack abs strapping. And you only thing you can think about is what you gonna do when you get him home tonight, or what you gonna do to this woman if she consents to all the nastiness that you have ready for her in store this night. And as soon as you get out the car, you ain't even worried about another brother or people coming down or a person trying to rob and stick you up. You got to worry about the 661-pound behemoth of a super pig that is standing between you and the climax of your night. Could you imagine that? What choice do you make in that situation? What do you do? Imagine the horrors within your mind. Do you just stay in the car and try to finish up there? Because she's going to be terrified. I don't know. Making it able to survive the frigid Western Canadian winters where the wind chill could be -50. Boy almighty. So, yo, these guys can traverse blizzards. Nothing in the US can stop them. If a wild boar or a wild pig ever escaped from a farm, there's no way it would survive. Oh, that's what they said at the time, right? Oh, don't worry, nothing to see here, folks. Pig will be okay. It's all right. They can't survive the wintertime. And sorry, folks, my actual soundboard had messed up. So again, they said that the experts at the time said, no worries, if a wild boar or wild pig ever escaped the farm, there's no way it would survive a Western Canadian winter. It would just freeze to death. Absolutely wrong. Well, it turns out being big is a huge advantage for surviving the cold. What if these pigs get bigger, folks? They can survive extreme weather by tunneling up to 2 meters under the snow. I'm not a meter person, but I imagine that's some odd feet underneath, creating a snow cave, which means they can hide out. They use razor sharp tusks. Yo, if you see a boar, again, everybody now should be strapped right now. What if they say get the strap? Get the strap. They'll use razor sharp tusks to cut down cattails, which is a plant that has these little pokey barbs on it. They stick to you. If you've ever in the summertime been playing in the field and you got these little prickly little round balls on you, that's what cattails are. And they'll line the bottom of the cave with cattails. Yo, I'm sorry. Are the boars creating booby traps inside as a nice warm insulating layer? I mean, come on, man. Who thought this was a good idea just for more meat? And now we got a problem. So I've already given you all solutions on how to create economic mobility for the Black community and other less affluent communities at large. We need to create businesses that target these super pigs coming in from Canada. That is a great job opportunity. It does not require any previous experience. All you need to do is to be a Second Amendment. You need to be able to purchase. Well, I mean, I don't even know if you need to be legally illegal. But anyways, I'm not going to promote legal activities, but you need to make sure you go through the proper channels to be an actual Second Amendment owner. And then we should be employing people in mass to give them good paying jobs over taking care of this. And it should be subsidized by the government. The second thing we do is we actually have Congress convene on bringing down the Canadian farmers who are responsible for releasing these pigs into there. And then also, there should be some sort of United States reparations funds created for the Canadian government to pay us back for all the crop damage that we've suffered as the result of these super pigs they've released or let go through. Is Canada protecting their borders for the super pigs from us? Are they? No, they're not. And again, I'm concerned about my family members and loved ones. I have a niece, goes to Lincoln. I'm concerned about her. Sisters in Delaware, Maryland, concerned about them. Sister in Virginia, who's got health issues. I'm concerned about her health. Nieces and nephews all around. I'm concerned about you all. Oh, oh, we got even for you religious people out there. It doesn't stop here. Oh gosh, given the damage the pigs have wrought, a range of attempts have been made to get rid of them. Science and researchers in the U.S. How has this never been talked about until recently? What are we supposed to wait until a horde of giant pigs from Canada come through the streets when you're getting your kids on the school bus? Or you're getting off of work, you're trying to figure out why an accident is, and the pigs are just goring down somebody there on the highway? You're on the 101 in California. You're on the 95 south or north heading up home, and you're in an hour's traffic because they're taking out cars, folks. And you're home late for work. You can't even pick your kids up from the daycare because you've got to deal with this issue, and no one's talked about it. We're almost finished here, folks. I'm sorry I went on a rant on this one. 42 minutes over this invasion problem. And of course, people are leaving on this one. They don't want to talk about what's safety. And again, if you're leaving out of this, I wonder when you see that Boar and you didn't get all this information, I hope you're prepared. I hope you're prepared. Where are we at? Continuing on, folks. They said, okay, one method that has worked in the U.S. is the use of a Judas pig, the betrayer of all pigs. The pig. Although, folks, I'm keeping it light today. I literally have been on for 42 minutes. I hope you're entertained by this, folks. I'm trying to bring some levity because we got some serious topics to discuss later on, folks. I'm just trying to bring some light to us with some humor. It's very true. The story is very true. And I'm just bringing some light humor to it, folks. I hope that you're in your workday and you're laughing at some of the stuff. If you're watching on replay, and folks, I always forget to promote myself. $ Ancestry Lands, Ancestry Lands on Venmo. You can donate, folks. Keep the show alive. I take so much of my time to do a little bit of this stuff and to bring these hopefully comedic aspects to sometimes things that can be a little serious in our day in life. I hope I've made you laugh and you've been somewhat entertained, folks. I'm not done here. How they do with the Judas pig is they capture it and fit it with a GPS collar, and they release it into the wild. Hopefully, they don't dress the pig up in lipstick, where we'll hopefully join a group of unsuspecting swine. Now, to me, saying that term, that's a pejorative, right? You don't call us a pig a swine. All right, that's offensive. All right, that's an offensive term. Who is Adam Gabat? You need to check your writing up here because that's an offensive term, right? You don't call a pig a swine. The idea is that you go and find a collar animal, remove any pigs that are with it, and then you just let it go in there again. Find more people to just plague. That's what they do with the Judas pig. So all you Christians out there, they got a Judas pig out here. Pray for the pigs. Oh man, I literally hope people find this funny because there's some parts of it that I do. I find it freaking hilarious right now. Okay, and folks, again, I'm going to let's just take a moment to laugh about that. I mean, it's serious because these giant pigs, it's actually an invasion they're talking about. And it's crazy because it's right in time with the other things going on in the world, folks. Don't forget ancestrylands.com, Ancestry Lands on YouTube. We sell tons of property. We want to get you into property ownership. If you own property or you own a house, why not own some land? They're $1,000 down, $250 a month. They have residential areas where you can do commercial things. You can even bring the super pigs to your land. You can actually why don't we buy some land and then create the Judas pig? There's a business model. Get a LLC where you go out there and you hunt down these for the government. You're now a Canadian Boar mercenary for the U.S. government. Train, hired, proficient U.S. SEAL train your hired hitters, right? Big hitters for the Super Bowl problem, right? What you do is you buy land from Ancestry Lands, okay? You go up on each of the properties because the properties allow you to have commercial use, right? Here's a great business model. You create an LLC. Okay, you get an EIN number, you get a bank account number, and you apply for a grant to get funding to be able to create Judas pigs where you GPS collar them and you go out there and you start on each coast tracking down groups of these super pigs to get rid of them and help out the farmers in there. And it's a subsidy, folks. We can see if this is a business model that they'll get behind, right? And you can save the environment. We are giving back. Ancestrylands.com is where you can go and buy a plot of land to start your Judas Pig business ventures. Okay. All right, folks. That's going to close out our our first segment of what's really the invasion of the US, actually. So, in other topics, folks, I want to bring to you this right here. Here's another one. We got some breaking. So, folks, I want to share with you another article that just came across my desk, folks, that actually China is furious with the US as they say, US, yo, hold this L, hold my beer right now. China is furious with the US, and they warn that the US is in no position to tell China what to do. All right. Now, people may say, yeah, I don't want to hear about this and all of this stuff. Listen, there used to be a time in this country where when the US says something, everybody pause and listen, right? It was like Debo from Friday, right? Everybody know Chris Tucker, Smokey Debo, right? When Debo come through, you hear the little creaking, 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 creaking. Everybody's like, oh, that's Debo, tuck your chain. That's what US was. We were Debo. All right. And what happens is China and Russia are now Smokey and Craig. All right. You know, Smokey, you got knocked up, right? That's what China and Russia are doing. They're Smokey and Craig, right? And what's happening now, China is like, listen, y'all are in no position to tell us what to do. And right after this article, because we're getting a little bit of the serious point right now, right? I mean, it's like, you know, it's the serious part of the show right now. They're saying that they're in no position to tell China what to do because China supposedly, according to this article, is arming Russia. And Russia says, listen, man, we don't care because Russia just said today that they are taking away their agreement to the arms treaty, the nuclear arms treaty that they signed and were a part of. This is in Yahoo News today. I'm not even lying about this, folks. I got to pull up the article for you because it just had it. I mean, look, and Biden is talking crap. I mean, he's going right back at it. This is the thing I don't understand. Like, where is this going? Right? Let me share right now with this. Let's just go to this article real quick. Diplomatic relations between U.S. and China deteriorated on Monday. China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs snapped at Biden administration for possession. You know, because China, I guess their culture is a little different. It's not as aggressive as the American culture. It's not all up in front of your face, but they just, you know, Mr. American, snap at you, snapped at the Biden administration suggestion that it has information suggesting that China's considered sending weapons and ammunition to Russia to help against the war. The Chinese companies, let me see this right here. What do they say? Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, I did not know that man was Secretary of State, made accusations on CBS Sunday where he said the companies have already been supplying Russia with non-lethal. That means it cannot, delete a person, aid, and soon may do more. This American stuff. You know, you don't have to talk about whether you think China's good or bad or whatever else. But again, there's a change happening in this country, folks. What I think that we should start doing is bringing the manufacturing back to this country, to building more things that we can build in America, and then we can make our own products. That would bring a lot of businesses back. That would bring people to buy things from Americans, and it would give us more industry for ourselves. You know, why we should be selling more American things. I mean, we sell hip hop culture. We everything about America. Everybody wants to buy a piece of America. Why are we not selling what is American? Instead of selling America, we should sell American, not America. That's what we should do. That's my opinion. But I don't want to get overly patriotic because people hate the country or whatever else. We could just change the country Not we don't have to change the country itself. We could just change from not making things in the country to making stuff in the country and then selling it everywhere else, right? Why do we have to buy weaves from China? Why can't we buy them from here? We have horses here, right? Right? Any which way. I mean, with the internet now, you can make everything online if you just watch a simple YouTube video. So why can't we just do it here? Like, why do we have to go out and go spend trillions and trillions of dollars, building debt when we could be making money? Like, why is it? Hold on, can I ask a question? Why is America not about making money? Like, why do we have so much debt? Was it 30 something trillion dollars worth of debt? Why are we not selling stuff then? Like, why are we not the biggest? Why is it everything we sell is death and destruction? Why are we selling Why are we selling arms and missiles to everyone else? Why can't we sell something else? Why do we have to sell everything that kills more people than a little bit? And why can't we sell stuff that actually we can make and influence other cultures by, right? Instead of all the most polarizing, destructive things of our culture, why can't we sell the good things that show us as dominant leaders in the world? Why is it we have to sell, we have to sell tomahawk missiles? That's the only thing we can provide. Like, why? Why can't we sell other stuff? Okay. So basically, he's saying, and there's Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. Yeah, black people do know Xi Jinping. We do. We're very well educated, folks. And the Chinese people, they're clapping back, snapping. And they said it is the US, not China, that's been pouring weapons into the battlefield. I mean, that's kind of subjective. I mean, it is the US making a proxy war. So basically what most people don't know, if you don't know, the US is playing kind of like you remember in The Godfather when The Godfather had an issue, I think it was the Salazzo scene. Maybe it was The Godfather 2. But in the Godfather scene, when Michael Corleone had to, he was in the restaurant and the police chief and all of that stuff, you go watch that scene. But remember when he was like, Vito Corleone was like, he thought that after I think was Sonny got, banged up in the car with all the machine, when he got deaded out there. I believe it after that scene when Vito, he had a hit put out on him and he got banged up and Michael went to the hospital to protect him and things like that. He thought it was Salazzo that was the one, but really it was Barzini that was the one that was instigating the beef between Salazzo and the Corleone family. Well, that's what they think that the US is doing with Ukraine and Russia. I don't know. I'm not saying it is. And China's also doing the same thing. They're being the Barzinis to this war that's happening in Ukraine by supplying them with ammunition and weapons and things like that. And there's a question of whether they're making Ukraine in debt because they're selling them weapons on a loan that basically maybe Ukraine can or cannot pay back. So now you're kind of hooked, right? It's kind of like, you're hooked on a drug and you get them hooked and now all of a sudden they're going to keep coming back and they just sell themselves away until they have nothing. And then you take all the resources. So one arguably people could say that, we're kind of all clean in this one. I don't know, but I'm American, so there's a cost for my freedom, and unfortunately, people got to pay for it. So, I'm trying to eat. I'm trying to do well. It's about me and my family and the people I love and care about, and you listeners and subscribers too as well. Shout out to people in Ukraine who do watch us. I hope you all, but you got to talk to Zelensky about that. We can vote Biden out in a few more years, and we could change our people up. I don't know what you can do about yours. I'm not familiar with Ukraine's voting laws. Any which way, moving along. So China said, no, not so fast. Basically, you don't have anything to say about this, and we don't care. And they're trying to put the US on blast. US is like, yo, why you put me out there like that, fam? You don't know, talk about my business out there on these streets. I don't want people knowing about my business. And China's like, well, I'm just gonna dry snitch on you and tell you this what's happening because y'all are not clean too. Don't make me look bad, right? So again, I mean, that's pretty what's going on. So we're going to go to another article that's just an add-on to this. And thank you for everybody who is watching and staying with us right now. We're going to a new share. We're going to share this one because this actually happened today. Putin suspends nuclear arms treaty as U.S.-Russia tensions build up amid Ukraine war anniversary. Why is it a war anniversary? What's the anniversary? I mean, like they get married. What did it? I mean, seriously. And this is what's happening. This should tell you something about where things are going. Now I know people are thinking like that kind of new thing. No, Putin is basically saying that look, he's pulling out of anything that said there is no nuclear wars being used. He's talking about using ground weapons. I'm sure the dude's going to be reporting to you, all the people at work. Guess what? You heard it first here on Ancestry Lands because we're talking about things that matter to the people out in the world. Tensions between the U.S. and Kremlin. That's where in Russia they refer to Russia as the Kremlin, not gremlins. ratcheted up Tuesday ahead of the 1 year anniversary of Russia's. This is one thing I hate about the news, folks. I'm sorry, I'm not going to go off on a tangent here, but it's like, why has everything got to be these buzzwords? The 1 year anniversary. You mean it's not an anniversary, man? What isn't an anniversary? Why do people write like this? Of Russia's war in Ukraine as Vladimir Putin vowed to pull Russia back from key nuclear treaty, and Joe Biden affirmed that the U.S. and its allies won't back down. And again, this is where it's just beef. All right. And it's again, the world has just become so much that we can't even talk. We don't even try to relate. We don't try to come to solutions. We don't try to find middle grounds. We just have people who you're pulled to one side or the other. And if this goes all the way left, there's only one blue marble that we all got to share. If you don't think this is going to matter, it's going to matter because all of that radiation is going to get put up into the world. I mean, how much more poisoning do we need to put on the planet now? His Putin's move came at the heels of surprise and historic visit by Biden to Kiev. In a new 2-hour speech to both houses of Russian parliament, he said he would be suspending Moscow's participation. Hold on. First of all, man, don't tell me you going to Fox News and CNN to go hear what I'm spitting out right now. What you just going to watch on the news. You're going to give them live feed and not me. I'm talking about this before you heard it on the news, and people are signing out of here going to go watch on the news. I ain't telling you this, so you go somewhere else. You hear from me. I'm just as good as anybody else up there, just as good looking, whatever. Any which way. He said is Moscow's participation in the New START, that's a strategic nuclear arms reduction treaty between the U.S. and Russia. He says, nah, we're not doing that no more. We're pulling out. He says the action would take because the U.S. and NATO without specifying more. I'm forced to announce that Russia is suspending its participation in the strategic offensive arms treaty. They're not, so then Biden's giving his speech in Warsaw. This is what we got. Don't forget. Remember, folks, this is what Biden described America as.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to excuse me.
Right. That's him talking down there right here, folks. Right here. That's America. That's Biden. That's Biden giving his speech right now in Warsaw. And Warsaw is in Poland, if anybody doesn't know. Some people need to study geography. He said Putin thought Ukraine will roll over when he invaded with tanks a year ago. He's wrong. Brave Ukrainians, blah, 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 blah. It's all just smoke and mirrors, folks. Smoke and mirrors. In other news, and again, I would love to know your thoughts about this. I mean, good or bad, right or wrong, Phil, shut up, whatever else, this, and this. But I live on a planet. Do I not have a voice in this? I mean, this stuff matters, man. I'm not Russian. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Can somebody? Why is it we can't hear what both sides have to say about what the issue is? Like, why is it there's not a place where, you know what I think? I think this is what I think of. I think that pretty much nations should solve their issues by boxing. This would force politicians to be in great shape. Maybe women want equal rights. Maybe we should do boxing matches where the women, so we could do it this way, 2 ways, right? We could have an all men's division. We have 3 men's division, and then we can have the alphabet community division, and then we can have a women's division, right? So that would just 3 separate divisions, right? Male boxing ones, the alphabet community ones, and then we could do a women's division. Okay. And what could happen in these divisions is that instead of fighting wars, we could select champions, or I don't know, why don't we make the leaders themselves go in and fight? Because I don't know, like, when you want to see that Angela Merkel versus like maybe Nancy Pelosi, like, wouldn't that be a great boxing match? Right. Or like Xi Jinping versus like Joe Biden. And, I think I actually have a shot of that. That's what it would look like, folks. This is what it would look like. Give me 1 second. I'm going to share this with you, okay? Just give me 1 second here to pull this up. Like, what if we had boxing matches like this, where instead of wars where tons of people and communities and families are destroyed, why don't we have boxing matches where everybody can see? We make it a pay-per-view event, National World Boxing Championships. We could take all the beasts from the year. We got North Korea, Kim Jong-un, all the leaders, right? United States, why don't we bring all the governors in there, right? Why don't we have like governors match, and we could just make this like a world boxing match for all our leaders, like global leaders. That way we would actually want to vote with people who actually have the mental capacity to train hard, dedication, and they're fighting for their country as a world representative. We could have here's an actual picture of what it would be like if Joe Biden went against Xi Jinping. All right. Again, here we got another picture, right? This is like few rounds into it, right? If the US was winning, right? And we have a scorecard like we do in the Olympics, we should just make a separate sport, and we can have the women in their own one. Like you said, we have Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany, go against Nancy Pelosi or Hillary Clinton. We can match up and we can make it like tournament style, right? And I think that would solve a lot of the world issues when you knew if you were going to have to say something like Zelensky versus Putin. Like, why can't we just give him in like a boxing match or anything else? Like, and I want it with steroid use, folks. Like, let's get the Mark McGuire component going in there. Like, I want them with PEDs, performance enhancing drugs in there. I want them to beef up and train for this. I want nothing but a boxing matches of Rocky Four. Ivan Drago versus Sylvester Stallone on juice. I want it all juiced up, right? It should look like the movie The Predator, where everybody's shooting into the forest all jacked up, even the women too, bulking, hulking women like She-Hulk. Because again, female empowerment is what we should aim for. So we should have the women leaders of the world stepping up to the plate and getting into fist toe, to show that, hey, women can lead. You know what I mean? That's what I think would help this country or the world get it up there. As we had just leaders fight in a sanctioned fight, because again, we don't want them to permanently injure each other, but just straight up boxing matches like this. This is a clip from what I think it would be like. I take time to create these images, folks. And again, while this is all happening here, Putin's just sitting there in the stands watching who he bet on. Right? That's what we're talking about, folks. Putin's just sitting there just going, yeah, I got my money on Bajo, right? Placing bets. We can make just gambling thing out of this. People can make money. We can trade in crypto. I think it'd be great. Trading crypto, right? And this is what it is. We just bet on fights. I mean, this could actually save many markets. And you make up a list of demands, right? Everybody's got their list of demands of things they're going to do if they win. And there's like kind of like a loser thing. If you lose, what you'll get. And there's a clauses like things that get lined out or things that get lined in. And we could just have a World Economic Forum could talk about this kind of stuff, right? That'd be great. I think that's a great suggestion. I don't know, folks. Tell me what you think, all right? Yeah, it take a lot of time to create some of these images and things like that. And again, I mean, does it need to stop just at the world ones? We could have always championship ones to, like an elimination one. Because, and again, other news I have up there. Oh, you know what, folks? While I forget, do not forget March 12th is daylight savings time, where we actually turn our clocks forward. Put this on your calendar now. March 12th is when you turn your clocks forward. We'll be going forward an hour, so it'll be getting sunnier earlier in the day, and being your sun time later in the days, probably sunset around 8 o'clock or so, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. All right. And we're about halfway through our show, folks. Again, thank you all for tuning in, chiming in. I hope you have been somewhat enlightened, educated on this. We're not done yet, folks. The show, I think it's going to be kind of my show format, a little bit of comedy, some seriousness, things like that. And we're going to get to we're at the halfway point, folks. We're about almost done our broadcast. But again, if you all have enjoyed the show so far, you've been entertained or educated as well, because we do try to mix a little bit of comedy, a little bit of seriousness, things that you go watch on the news, like, oh, I heard about that earlier. When you go home, you get the whole, the whole subliminal and the filtered news, the news that they try to spin, the spin news. I'm just giving it to you raw, asking some questions and thinking about some solutions on how we can handle some of these world problems that we have. You know what I mean? Like, again, I would love to see Andrew Tate go up against Greta Thunberg, because they had the beefs back and forth. Why not just get in the ring and we just juice up everybody on the most amount of steroids we can and get them in the ring and just let them roid it out, folks. This will solve a lot of problems in the world. But don't forget, March 12th is where you turn your clocks forward an hour, folks. In our next bit of segment here, like I was saying about the whole beef with, Russia, China, Ukraine, instead of having them all fight, I don't know, maybe UFC style would be better. I'm not sure. But in any case, why don't we have them box for it? You know what I mean? That way it would win. We could have the former Polish prime minister, she could fight, I don't know, Hillary Clinton. That'd be great to see that. And in other news too, as well. And like I said, we could have it mayor versus governor brackets. You know what I mean? We could really, I think this is a money-making opportunity too, as well. Remember these have celebrity death match? We could do something like that, but not death match, like boxing match. You know what I mean? So again, in other news, there's also beef with New York versus Florida. New York stand up, all the five boroughs, anybody from boogie down Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Queens, Long Island, Staten Island. I went to college there. Shout out to people who live in Staten Island. Where am I? Where else am I missing? Queens, Brooklyn, all the five boroughs. Any which way, there's obviously some beef going on. Have you guys heard about this with what is this? Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, and Ron DeSantis. There's apparently some beef going on, and again, I'm kind of, this has like been some governors, Staten Island. I mean, if he's a mayor, why is he commenting on governor issues? But it seems like I'm kind of above his pay grade. But any which way, he's like, this is more from the beef category here. We're happy to teach you. NYC mayor offers DeSantis moral guidance. Ooh, high words there. Moral guidance. Morality here against Governor Staten Island rally. Right? Mayor Eric Adams ripped into Ron DeSantis on Monday ahead of Staten Island's rally that kicked off the Florida's governor's tour of 4 progressive cities struggling with soaring crime. Yo, I mean, come on, yeah, that is ultimate disrespect. You're just going there just to tour the cities. But obviously, this is for a campaign thing that he wants to do video clips. DeSantis is going to these areas, and shout out to Ron DeSantis. I mean, I live in Pennsylvania. I don't really care either way. But Eric Adams and Ron DeSantis is going to New York and other 4 progressive cities because they have soaring crime rates, to take pictures, do videos, interview people, to get all his content for his obviously running for president. More than likely, he's going to talk about what he's done better, and it's going to make Eric Adams look like, he didn't do enough. And Eric Adams, and I'm reading here, this is an article on yahoo.com. This is not me, coming up with my own commentary here. I'm just slightly commenting on what I'm reading here for all you people on YouTube. New York Air, he says, welcome to NYC at Gov Ron DeSantis, a place where we don't ban books. I don't know what that is. That's from maybe a German slight from the old days of the Holocaust, where books were burned, discriminate against our alphabet neighbors. I don't know. Have you seen people down in slides with Florida and all the hairstyles and all the stuff they're doing down there? I don't see no discrimination going on down there. Any which way, use asylum seekers as prompts. I guess DeSantis was doing that. Or let the government stand between women and healthcare. I mean, he's pretty much taken all the big 3 tip talking points that usually Democratic people do when they're going up against Republicans. We're happy to teach you something about values while you are here. I don't know about that one. Slow that down, Eric Adams, because I don't know about values. New York is having massive amounts of people leave out of that area, and I could say for myself, there are tons of lovely. I actually lived on Staten Island for quite some time. Went to Wagner College on Staten Island, and alumni there, as many other people do know. It's a place where there are some genuinely caring people, but New York's got a little bit of a crime issue. He is kind of right on that, and these kind of talking points don't really have anything to do with the crime issue. But at the event on South Shore Staten Island, which grew a large crowd of supporters and members of law enforcement, I mean, Eric Adams, this is the place where you said defund the police, and you took the police out of many areas that now have been swelled up with crime, all the trap music, things like that, and you took them out of areas where there were, minority communities and other communities at large. I mean, does he really have a pot to kind of pee in on this one? DeSantis defended Florida's law and order record, touting his 50-year low. And I do believe that Florida is a concealed carry state. I do believe that. And I mean, this is all just cannon fodder for DeSantis, his presidential run, I believe, So again, there's beef out there, or even our leaders' beef, man. It's a shame because it's like constantly, and I'm going to show you some images that I've snapped from the governor's event. And I'll show you here. Here's a picture of Ron DeSantis. He obviously spent some time on Staten Island, which a lot of Italian community there. He's definitely filled up a little bit on the cannolis, strombolis, the meatballs. Shout out to the Russo family, who had formerly King's Pizza on Staten Island, Victory Boulevard. My good friend Anthony Russo. This man must have stolen some of your father's recipes, because he definitely looks like he's eating a lot of gabagool. You know what I mean? So, and obviously he showed up there large with his crew. Here's him when he was coming from Florida on his governor plane. He jacked up a little bit. Yeah, as you can see, the midsection did not have a whole lot of the pasta, the fettuccine there. And he kind of blew up a little bit. He came back a little bloated. Still he enjoyed his time. And Adams, obviously he came up in there, showed out with the brother commission to make sure that he was checking on, making sure Ron got back to Florida safely. And we think both of those gentlemen, we hope that they can resolve their issues. And again, that's something that's there. And I want to say to them both is that the people that you're going back and forth over, they're American citizens that are being affected by the beefing back and forth. Why is it not a work together issue? Why is it not, if he does have, and again, I mean, you got to realize something with Ron DeSantis, that New York is a completely different area than Florida. Florida is way more wide open. There's sky rises, high rises. There's millions upon millions of people in a smaller landmass in New York City, and it's very different. Shout out to all the New York City Police Department that are doing a great job trying to defend or support the communities and fight the crime. I think it's not a time to create. It's a time to kind of give some aid and handbooks to or techniques on how to combat crime that are affecting minority communities and other communities at large. I mean, why not Adams work together instead of trying to get talking points to sound politically correct? And that's the thing about politicians, man. They always try to talk from the political standpoint instead of speaking from the heart. What we need from our politicians is from you to speak from our heart, like you actually give a damn about the regular people, not give a damn about the people who are trying to vote for you or your constituents. Like the people that you walk by every single day, the people that, Nancy Pelosi has a gate around, the people that you actually are in charge. I mean, I know she's not a Speaker of the House anymore, but again, the people that you say you care about, how about you actually talk to us and give us the real spiel? Instead of arguing with, I got less crime than you do, 50-year crime record. Like, why are you not employing some of the techniques to see if they work? Because again, it's the community members that are suffering, not the criminals themselves. It's the community members, the people that are not committing crimes, that are suffering the most, while you guys go in here and see whose nether regions is longer and have a peeing contest. I mean, if DeSantis is going to run for president, let's just say in a hypothetical world, DeSantis does run for president, how is the beef between you and Eric Adams going to work out? And if he is going to be, like, why is it that everything is about what president you do or don't like? The president has a job to do, folks. All right. It don't matter if he's an R or a D. He has a job to do. That is to help the American people. While we all are invested in fighting over who you voted for, what's this and this. I mean, I work in California, man. How many nurses talk stuff about Trump? I don't care about him and his particulars. I care about him doing a job and making sure my family is protected. My friends are protected, loved ones. Joe Biden, okay, he's not the best president, but he's got a job to do. That's his job. This isn't a pageant. This isn't a beauty pageant for presidents. They're here to do a job. They're here 8 years and they're going. We're going to live a lot longer, if you're lucky enough to be alive, than the presidents do. It's not that. We need to stop the conversation between us all talking about, well, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm an independent. I don't like this president. I don't like that president. Who cares? They're there to do a job. There are people that you work with that you don't like. There are people that I work with that don't like me. I don't care. We're all here to take care of patients. There might be people I work with in my own organization, but we're here to do a job to serve the community. That's where the focus should be. I want to see a politician that's talking about, hey, man, look, man, I'm not concerned about that. I'm concerned about dealing with the people in my state and helping them. And I've got the stats to prove it, not the talking points to look good. I've got stats to prove it, because the results are all that matter. They are. Last segment, folks. I'm going to get into something fun here. I'm going to show you. Have you all? This is our featured Black Innovator of the day. You say, why do I do Black Innovators? Well, it's still Black History Month. And this person had a huge impact. Okay. Huge impact. Because I don't think in school we're taught about where things come from. We talked about Lewis Latimer, the man who created the carbon filament for the light bulb. We talked about Bass Reeves. Stomp your ears together, Bass Reeves. Say it to me now. The man who was stomping more people's ears together in Native American territories, protecting the Native American territories in the late 1800s, early 1900s. This man was the first Black deputy marshal west of the Mississippi, stomping people's ears together, giving crescent kicks, wheel kicks, and roundhouses and uppercuts, no less, to all the people out there apprehending thousands of dangerous fugitives at the time, people who were about it. And he's putting in that work, folks. Today we're on a man known as Mr. Freeze. Not the Mr. Freeze you're thinking about, this guy.
All right, everyone, chill.
Not that Mr. Freeze. Not
right,
this
everyone.
Mr. Freeze.
Chill.
From not Batman Mr. Freeze. We're not talking about that Mr. Freeze. We're talking about this man. His name, again, like they say his name was Robert. I'll say his name was Frederick McKinley Jones. This man, Frederick McKinley Jones, he was an American inventor, entrepreneur, engineer, winner of the National Medal of Technology. All you IT folks out there. And the reason why this is so important and why I call this man the original Mr. Freeze, he was black, is because he innovated mobile refrigeration technology. Yeah, that's right, folks. Mobile refrigeration, meaning if you got AC in your car, you know, all you girls on the late night, your OnlyFans, you going over there on your essay arrangements and you're heading over to the house, you're hitting your jump off late at night, you come in there smelling and it's hot in that southern heat, y'all sweaty on the summertime where you're sweating in between your other reasons trying to get to a place. Imagine what they had to deal with before there was AC. This man was responsible for mobile refrigeration technology, 61 patents, 40 for refrigeration technology. So he was called the Thermo King, or Mr. Freeze, known in the streets. This is an image of him that I've created to give him more of a modern look. Gentleman Freeze. Mr. Freezy, Lil Freezy when he was young. Free Wheezy. He was also a sergeant in World War I. Born in May 17th, birthday coming up, my daughter's birthday, 16th, day 17th, great. 1893 to an Irish, that's right, I said it, Irish interracial relationships was going back. You had hybrids or half-breeds or mulatto children back in the day to an Irish father and an African-American mother. Back in 1893, they still was doing the jungle, what do they call it? You know, doing the jungle dance back there, huh? That jungle juice, right? Jungle fever was still back in the 1800s with people who wanted both some of that chocolate, the chocolate kiss, the lips, and the Irish thunder. The Irish glizzy was being given to the chocolate kiss, folks. Thank you, Don Coombs. Boy was serving out Guinness glizzies to them Hershey kisses. Before, and what he said was, "Woo, Etna, it is stinky up in here, girl. This heat right up in here in Kentucky, this Kentucky heat got your nether region smelling. Woo, woo, wee." And what did he say? We got to get a way to cool this down because this Hershey kiss is fire. His father, John Jones, we'll get back to that in a second, folks, was a railroad worker who struggled to raise him on his own. Whoa, are we talking about a single father? Hold on. A single father? Jones was raised by his father, struggled to raise him on his own. We don't know what the whereabouts happened to his mother. He was raised by a Catholic priest. Woo, okay. Danger, Father Ryan, danger. Rectory in Cincinnati, Chicago. Am I sharing this? I got to share this with folks. Sorry, folks. Jones was raised, I'm going to keep it right here. I'm going to read the story of him. He was raised by Father Jones by the age of 8. And 2 years later, John Jones had passed away. That was his father. He left school after 6th grade at the age of 11, only educated that far. He worked odd jobs with the role of garbage cleaner. This boy was a hustler, man. Age 14, is working as an automobile mechanic. I'm sorry, gotta go to O'Reilly's, AutoZone. This man was at 14, was working as an automobile mechanic and was later named as garage foreman. Again, we Black people don't realize we come from a race or a history of people who worked hard for a living. They ain't no government handouts. Let me bring this up because I need people to see this, man. I need people to see this. I'm just gonna sit here and read this myself. Let me make sure I'm sharing this over here, man. So excuse me, folks. He was largely self-taught. Now, again, I know, y'all brothers and sisters out there, this education part, you'll learn a little bit about Black history. We only want to see Black history if it's a girl in African garb, twerking it, botting it up, whatever else. That's the only time we want to learn about real Black history. And I'm teaching Black history here to people. This man was largely self-taught. He is the reason why, even when you're knocking the boots at night, that the reason why you're not overly sweaty, the reason why the box ain't hot is because this man created mobile refrigeration technology with over 40 patents related to refrigeration alone, keeping it cool in there. So your hot, sweaty nights in the summer are nice and cool on your behind when you're stroking. Woo! Because imagine before he thought of, and I imagine one night, right? He's in there, he's with his wife, he's sitting there, he's tapping, woo, daddy, woo, bang, 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 bang. And he's like, boy, I'm working up 2-3 rounds. He's hot, he's sweating it up, right? He's getting his cardio in, his high intensity workout is going in. You rub it in, you filthy. I'm not gonna get lost in the sauce, excuse me. And he's putting in that work. He's long stroking because I'll be stroking, right? And what he's doing is he's figuring out that, hey, man, they ain't got the, the Vagisil and none of that stuff. Mama's in there, she heating up a little too much, got a little crotch rock in there, right? And he's like, man, the problem is you sweaty all day. You've been doing the dishes, cleaning, all of this stuff. You took a bath, but it's still a little moist, is a little fungus up in here. And what the problem is, it's hot all day. You're still sweating all day. So again, he said, well, I'm gonna make something cool. What did James Brown say? This is a man's world. And he says, man built cars so the woman could drive, right? Man built refrigeration so the box wouldn't smell, could stay cool at night. This is a man's world. And after that, he made money so he can trade with other men. Shout out to James Brown. That's not the lyrics, but you know where I'm going with it. So again, this is another Black man in the 1912s, time post-slavery. Remember 1865, Emancipation Proclamation, all of that stuff. And after this, there was still obviously ardent, hardened racism. We're in Minnesota, where this man worked as a mechanic on a 50,000-acre land farm. Look at that. Farm was owned by J.J. Hill, not John Jonah Jameson, not from Spider-Man, but J.J. Hill, who's also owner of the Great Northern Railroad, right? Jones's proximity to Hill. Again, proximity. The man's success was because he was around other successful people. Please, people, pay attention. The man was self-taught, left school at the age of 11. This Black man, or half-breed as you would, because he's a mulatto, all right? All you Kardashian lovers out here, this is your mayor, your Chad, get your Chad over here. But the man had intelligence. His proximity to the person who was the owner of the Great Northern Railroad, and the railroad facilitated his education in electricity and steam locomotive engines. We got people out here that can get a free degree for being minorities and won't even go to school to educate themselves. And this man, back in 1912, they don't tell you this story in the Democratic Party. They don't tell you this in the Democratic fish fry. The Republicans don't tell you this when they're telling you all about Black communities and how less affluent and all underprivileged. They don't give you stories of inspiration. I have to tell you it. We're reading here, folks. Reading. He lived there for 20 years. And Willay said in the newspaper that Hollock was a place where a man was judged more on his character. So hold on. You mean to tell me back in 1912, before Martin had a dream and before Malcolm took a picture with an AK in front of his house, there was a man judged on his character. This is in Minnesota, folks, and his ability, then on the color of his skin. But I've heard in my past podcast that they own the world and we can't get ahead. But in 1912, Mr. Frederick McKinley Jones did not have that excuse. What he had was an opportunity, and he took it. He was self-taught. He did not have the education, how good or small or great or bad it was, how affluent or not that we talk about in this country now today in America. This man, again, here is your Black history. Here's your American Black history, Black people. Have you heard of Frederick McKinley Jones? He's the reason why your food is not spoiled, because you have a thing called a refrigerator. He's the reason why you probably have AC in your car. And don't forget, Lewis Latimer, another Black man, was the reason he came up with the apparatus for cooling and heating and disinfecting, which was the grandfather of the modern day AC unit that we all share and enjoy in our house. Is this meaning that, oh, Black people create? No, it's not. But it is to eliminate the constant excuses and the narrative that Black people are always underserved and privileged, and we don't come from anything and we can't do anything. I'm showing you people who actually achieved things at a time where it was post-slavery. People were just still getting out of change, and other people would take advantage of opportunity, not making excuses. We're going to go back to this line again. He lived there for over 20 years and would later say in a newspaper, this is his own quote, that Halleck, Minnesota, the place where he lived at from 1912 to about 1932, according to 20 years, was where a man was judged more on the content, more on his character and ability than the color of his skin. Jones received his engineering license. This man at the age of 20 he upgraded his license to the highest grade. This man achieved at a time in 1912 where, again, excuses are still being made in the community today. He later went on to participate in World War I in an all-Black unit until his mechanical skills were spotted. Again, this man had ability. He reminds me of the same way we talked about Bass Reeves the other day. He reminds me of the same way we talked about Lewis Latimer last week, about Black men who had ability and they were spotted for their skill. This is why I'm talking about people need to build skills. Again, I'm only talking about Blacks in this instance because it's Black History Month, and we're going to learn about some real Black history, not that mumbo jumbo garbage they teach you at school. Or in fact, what they don't teach you is the Black community people who did not make excuses, but took advantage of opportunity, even if it was from a white person. And they saw that when white people saw Blacks had ability, they didn't look at the race anymore. They started looking at character because they could identify qualities of worth and value. And the problem is a lot of people making these excuses today in the Black community are people who don't bring any value and don't have any worth to elevating the Black community at large. That is one of the biggest problems. That's the reason why most of the leaders are panhandling to all the worthless people out there, making tons of excuses of why they can't better their lives. Instead of picking up blunts, why don't you pick up a business page or a book and start reading? Moving on. His mechanical skills were spotted. Now, don't forget, he took advantage of opportunity working with someone who was at James J. Hill, the owner of the Great Northern Railroad. His proximity to Hill and the railroad facilities, education in electricity and steam locomotion engines. This man said, I'm going to learn how to better myself. It's 1912. This is about what? Less than 50 years away from when slaves were just free. That's half a century, less than a half a century. And I'm going to learn. If you give me the opportunity, I'm going to show my ability to learn, even though I've only been educated up to 11 years old. And again, you got most people out here at 18 with the same abilities as this man had in reading and writing at 11. And what did he do? He stayed there and he learned. He learned that his opinion of whites was still wrong because they valued his ability rather than his character. Well, I'm sorry. The man was judged more on his character and ability rather than the color of his skin. Why don't we as Black people stop making excuses about our skin color and start making a real rationale on our abilities to contribute to society and how, if not a we're employee? You mean to tell me, have you lost a job because of your skill and ability, or have you lost a job because you came there smelling like weed, or because your piss test didn't come back clean? Even though you knew it was going to be tested, and it's always someone else's fault. But again, you couldn't put the blunt down for 30 days to pass the test. Right? You don't have the ability, despite YouTube being a knowledge engine on how to do something. You can't read or write, so you won't pick up a book or a dictionary and know how to spell. Merriam's dictionary is online now, and you can get it for free. Knowledge is free. Well, actually, you're paying for it on a cell phone, but people still won't take a time to read or improve themselves, but still talking about how someone else is holding them down. No, the first person holding you down is the person that you look at in the mirror when you brush your teeth, if you brush your teeth. And this man, I keep on showing to tell me, have you learned about these people in your school? Have you learned about these people in history in your classroom? Have your kids came home and taught you about someone that directly related to technology or innovative technology that we use every day when we store something in our freezer or our refrigerator, or when we turn on the AC because we're warm? Now, I understand this man might have been motivated by the fact that he had something in there that he was looking fine, whining, and trying to dine in. He was trying to bump and grind and get some behind end on some tenderoni. He wanted to ride, somebody wanted to ride his pony. And the problem he had was it didn't smell so good. So he said, I got to bring the temperature down a little bit to make it cool in here so that thing is sweaty when I use it, not before I open. You know what I mean? The box needs to be cool when I open, not already warm and steamy. You ever come out of a steam room, you have a certain funk to you. And my man needed it smelling so clean, so fresh and so clean. And again, he was in World War I. So this man still fought, veteran. His skills, I keep talking about something about these people back in the day, Bass Reeves, Lewis Latimer, right? Con Edison engineers or pioneers, their skills. I've never heard a person of color or anybody who identifies as a person of color, Rachel Dolezal, that said that they were not hired because their skills were overqualified and they took someone else just because the complexion was the same. Never. He was promoted to sergeant, working as an electrician, and even teaching other soldiers. So this man, not only he was employed, and then he started teaching other people within his all-black unit how to become proficient. So other brothers were sitting around willing to learn. He performed the wiring necessary to equip his camp, his own camp, with electricity. Imagine being in a place where you don't get the same resources as whites, and you got another man who did not, again, same position I've been in, talking about land ownership with the black community. I go into these places, Melanin Market. And thank you to the Melanin Market for letting Eric and I go there to provide the pathway to talk to our people about land ownership. Our people know all about what's taken away. But when you give them an opportunity to own something, they will still go back to talking about what's been taken away instead of taking advantage of simply $1,000 down, $250 a month to own your own property in one of the world's largest, third largest economy in the entire world, California. That's where the properties are. You don't even got to build on it. $1,000 down, no interest, no credit checks, $250 a month to own your own piece of property you can pass on to your children. And again, people will still complain, oh, we've been held back, took land. I'm giving you an opportunity to take back land. I'm giving you an opportunity to own land, and you still won't do it. He wired his entire camp with electricity, telegraph, and telephone services. This is a black man helping out his own community, having learned it in a white area. He didn't make excuses. And here's the other area. Here's the other thing. I'm sure these people never told Mr. Frederick McKinley Jones he wasn't black enough and he wasn't white enough. I'm sure they looked at him and said, this brother has skills and knowledge that he learned from a place. He can better our community. And we're never going to tell him he's not black enough or he's too white enough for us to be able to have, again, he wired necessary equipment to his camp, electricity, telegraph, and telephone services. No one in that camp told that man that he was not black enough and he was not white enough in order for him to bring wiring and stuff back, his knowledge, his skills, his proficiency back to benefit the black community. An all black unit, military unit for World War I. See, back then, blacks weren't over there demonizing others for coming back and learning and being people who are not gatekeepers, but gateways to black community upward mobility through providing them with things that they knew how to do, such as own land. Moving along here. because you're not going to learn about this. And I'm teaching you something about your own culture that you need to change within yourself. Don't worry, Dad. I got this. I got this. Yeah, I am a daddy's boy in a sense. I'm proud to be my father's son. You need more black men proud to be their father's son. Do I love my mother? Absolutely. But I'm proud to be Philip Davis Jr. I'm so proud of it. I have a third. And hell, if I could have named, I would have done like George Foreman, name all my kids after me and after my father. I'm a proud son of a black father and a black mother. Yeah, I might have learned land from Caucasian people. They didn't see a problem with my money. They wanted to see if I had the proficiency to learn. And a group of 20 people that I learned with, being the only one black in there, I was successful with many of whites. It was me and an Asian guy that managed to become land business owners. Shout out to you, Eric Wong. He were the only two guys out of a class full of 24 that made it. And a whole bunch of other whites did not make it or failed the business or got out. Now, where was my lack of opportunity because of my color? No, I studied. No, I invested. I spent the time. I told you the other day, I had the hernia surgery and my wife sat right there and said, baby, go sit down. And I got up and I sat there and I worked. I put in the work. I wasn't blaming me being the only black person in a room as a reason why I can't learn how to run a business. That business brought opportunities of land ownership to people of all colors, Hispanics and blacks alike. They're the reason why I can even come up on this microphone and talk to our people about themselves and the problems that I face every time I try to bring an opportunity to them to better themselves from what they're complaining about within the community. I try to bring them ownership, and the only thing they're talking about is buying Jordans. I'm sorry. Did I offend you? How many other businesses, people that I talk to that own properties from me, that have other businesses that I talk to them about helping their businesses? Shout out to Mr. Rusted Junk on YouTube. Shout out to Pure Bama, that I've sat down and worked with other black business owners to talk and help with them about what I knew, my editing skills. Folks, there is no one else that created Ancestry Lands. I am it. The videos you see, the screen, everything over top of me, everything now, the donations, all of that stuff. I've done it with my mind and skill. And yes, my environment had changed. I went up in New York. I've been in Staten Island. I've been a nurse out in Phoenix Children's Hospital. I've traveled around this country. I still travel to and back from one side of this country. And what I did was I learned. And I applied that knowledge. I've got people that I'm mentoring. You know, the problem with a mentee, is Don Coombs and I have talked about, they don't want to listen. They don't want to follow what you tell them. So they get the results that come along with their whatever they decide. You don't have to listen to me. Hell, you don't even have to watch this screen. I mean, where else are you going to learn history stuff like this? I'm not talking gods of the earth. I'm talking the ability to achieve outcome. Audio-visual work, continuing on about Frederick McKinley Jones. After service with the U.S. Army in World War I, Jones returned to Hollick, the place for 20 years where he said, and again, we are still dealing in times where segregation was throughout the United States. We're still dealing with less than 50 years post-slavery. We're still dealing with times where rampant racism was going throughout the United States. And again, what I keep showing you is people who broke through, that gave way to the Martins and the Malcolms, to the Marcus Garveys, that everybody loves to go ahead and put up as the front man for their blackness. But again, what about the people who are actually the real forefathers of real change that was in the black community, not making up any damn excuses? We don't want to talk about them. We don't want to talk about Lewis Latimer's. We don't talk about Bass Reeves, that you had lawmen. He was a lawman, first black lawman, U.S. Deputy Marshal west of the Mississippi. We're not talking about him there. We want to talk about whomever we can put up there to be little figureheads for black community talking points for continuous oppression by black gatekeepers. Continuing on. He worked as a mechanic while learning about electronics. When he returned to Hollick, he built a transmitter. I'm sorry, did you say a black man built a transmitter for the town's first radio station? I'm sorry, town had radio due to a black man building transmitter. He also invented a device which combined sound with motion pictures. This attracted the attention. Again, a black man's skill attracted another person with funds and other greater knowledge, greater access, greater. And a local entrepreneur by the name of Joseph A. Numero of Minneapolis, Minnesota. Minneapolis, stand up. Numero owned a company that manufactured audio equipment called Ultraphone Sound Systems Inc. and later renamed it to Cinema Supplies Plus. Cinema sound familiar to you all? Movies? Anyone? He hired Jones. Again, this man was hired because of his skill, because he learned. LSA, learn skills and apply them. He hired Jones in 1927, still time during where, blacks are being called bad words and whites are being told they're oppressors or whatever else in this society, as an electrical engineer to improve the audio equipment made by his firm. And again, you might say, well, he took or whatever else. When you work for a company, even a black company, the intellectual property or IP, whatever you create under the employment of that company, is the ownership and the product of that company. It works when you work with a black owner of a company, and it works when you work as a white owner of a company. That is called business. If you have any level of business acumen, you will know that. My marketing executive, Eric Kennedy, who works for me, knows that any idea that black man creates is property of Ancestry Lands. And he understood that when he signed the contract. That is not to put him down, but that is the ownership because of the opportunities he's provided through Ancestry Lands, as well as many of the other people that are employed by my black ass. Apologies for the cursing. But this whole thing, they stole this, they stole that. When you work for Bob Johnson, when you work for Don Peoples, when you work for Robert F. Smith, when you create something within his company, when you are employed in his company, that property, intellectual property, belongs to the company. It's set up that way for whites. It's set up for Asians. It's set up that way for blacks. Stop making excuses on why the reason what Robert Johnson did and many other like him, Eric Gardner and other black businessmen, white businessmen, they do is they learn it and they go out and build their damn own company. And then they create their own IP that they can sell for themselves and set their own price. But the problem is everybody want to cut. Everybody want to hook up. Everybody wants something this, and it's still a bunch of damn excuse making. And what I'm showing you constantly, there's 3 people I've showed you constantly that have sat here. There are our forefathers of the black community. We're talking about the children or the aunts and uncles, the old heads, the Jesse Jacksons and all of them that ain't really do anything compared to what the forefathers of what is now the black community have done with their oppression, their systematic oppression. And what we see them doing is building skills. They sat down and learned what they could. They took advantage of it. They built skills and they applied them, and they went back to the community, and the community did not turn their backs on them. Anybody telling them it's too black enough or too white enough for them? The black community needed it just as much as they need it now. All right, again, we seem in the black community to always be impressed by the thuggish, everybody showing their damn ass on their boxers, pants hanging down low to the point. I'm going to show you this too to prove my damn point. This is how outlandish they think we are. Wait till I get to this section. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna look it up while I'm talking. Because again, this is crazy. This is how bad it's become, where they're doing fashion shows with sagging pants. And look how I'm gonna show you this right now, because this is how bad it got. Where I get this fashion show, man. I gotta show this one, man. This fashion show. It was crazy. I saw this the other night. So crazy. I'm trying to pull it up. I hope I can pull it up on what is it? Was it a modeling show? I'm gonna have to pull it up. I'm gonna get it on a modeling show, man. It was so crazy watching this stuff, man. They had models walking through with Tim boots with a belt strapped around their waist with it dangling down to sagging pants. They had the models walking through at that point. The damn pants were down to the ankles, folks. all the way down to the ankles. I couldn't believe it. We're being made a mockery. And this is the reason why, because back then we were fighting for real things, real change. We're going to get to refrigeration shortly, folks. Jones worked on, and again, this is the real McKinley Jones, not the Frederick McKinley Jones, not the Mr. Freeze that I showed you before. That's me doing an AI and a rendition of Mr. Freeze. He worked on converting silent movie projectors into audio-visual projectors. Jones also patented a ticket dispensing machine for movie theaters, right? There goes your Fandango, grandfather Fandango, and all ticket masters. Here you go, right here. I mean, look how much he's created, and we only got through a portion of his life. Refrigeration. Again, your kids are going to learn about this, and it's a half-breed, right? Nobody call him half-breed. Nobody care about no mulatto. Around 1938, following request from Numero, Jones began designing the thermal control Model A automatic truck refrigeration unit. This is so you can transport meats from one area to another, thus increasing businesses' abilities from farms to grow refrigeration trucks to bring food out to areas that later became part of Black migration, folks. What my cousin CJ talked about. When Blacks had the opportunity to go to these big cities, refrigerated food is what you required in order to grow cities to large metropolises of that proportions, to create a tax base. You can thank this man for it, Frederick McKinley Jones. Model A refrigeration was attached to undercarriages of the truck. Chilled air was transported to the inside of the trailer via a refrigerant tubing. Because the Model A was too heavy, he developed a Model B. There was a problem. He created a solution. The Model B was smaller, lighter, but not durable. Still, it was not perfect. He built it while he flew. In 1941, he completed the development of Model C. Now, again, they didn't have air conditioning back in the early 1900s. They started getting it towards the early to mid 1900s, which was Model C, which was mounted to the front of the truck. It was compact, light, and withstood road travel vibrations. He filed for a patent for Model A and received a patent for it in 1949. Black man received the patent in 1949. Lewis Latimer was receiving patents in the early 1900s. Black people were still giving patents on inventions they created, folks. You still believe in the narrative. And again, I'm saying this because it should make you think what you're being told by me as opposed to what you're being sold on the big news industries about your abilities to create, learn, and be proficient. We need to stop investing into all the rap songs and all the degeneracies of society, and we need to start investing back into what our forefathers of the Black community were talking about, building and creating new inventive things that come out to be used by Black and all communities. This is make Blacks great again. Oh, I'm going to anybody use that, I'm suing you. I said it right now live on this live, make Blacks great again. And we do that without all the booty shaking, popping, and all of this excess stuff that we got invested in there, or whatever Black leaders think that we need to do, talking about being underserved and having a check handed to us, and we got to live in this. No, what we need to get back is talking about how Blacks were creative, and we need to get back to being creative again. Innovative. They got patents back in the 1940s and 1920s. Portable cooling units designed by Jones. Portable cooling units designed by Jones were especially important in World War II in preserving blood. I'm sorry, in the hospital, you ever had a blood transfusion in the hospital? Have you ever? Well, the blood needs to be cooled, and it can only be when you get blood, you have about less than an hour to start hanging up the blood. And after that, the blood is no good. It has to be hung up almost immediately. But it's chilled until you get it, and it's typed and crossed. For preserving blood, medicine, food, for use at the army hospitals and open battlefields. So basically, this man created something that actually changed the world. Oh, and here we go. Not that he would stop there, because he could just rest on his laurels for what else he created, but other inventions included the portable X-ray machine. He developed an early prototype of the snowmobiles for all you snow bunnies out there that love to go out there and get in the snowmobiles in the great areas of Colorado and Poconos on both coasts, or Lake Tahoe. This man was responsible for creating an early prototype of the snowmobile. It was a snow machine that attached skis to the undercarriage of an airplane fuselage and attached a propeller and a soundtrack synthesizer, later selling the patent to RCA. Oh my gosh, have we heard of RCA? I mean, this man basically came up portable X-ray machine. And many times I've worked in a hospital where patients actually cannot walk, cannot get to the actual X-ray department, to the imaging department. And Lord have mercy, help me. Frederick McKinley Jones is responsible for getting that portable X-ray up to your room. And they, obviously they've innovated more to make it even readable there. But this man made the X-ray machine, which probably looked like a freaking iron giant at the time, back in those times. This man made it portable. A black man made it portable for you to be able to get diagnosed in a different location rather than go to a location. He became, in 1944, he became his distinction and honors. Man got more honors and everything else. He got more. I mean, look at all the honors he has here. First African American to become a member of the American Society of Refrigeration Engineers in 1944. If I'm correct, Martin and Malcolm were in the 60s. 1953, Merit Award, Phyllis Wheatley Auxiliary for outstanding achievements, which served as inspiration to the youth. This man was an inspiration to youth. He went out there selling on the streets, selling this, and that, destroying communities. He was out there building skills and innovating inventions, or building inventions that were going to go on and inspire other people, which are parents and grandparents that were supposed to hand us down that same inspiration. Not the segregated mindset that we're underserved class of people. They were supposed to pass on the spirit of innovation to us. Not the handing us down the destructive components of our society, so we can be identified with them. And now we're Democratic shillings or Republican talking points on how and what's wrong with the Black community. We were supposed to be better than this. In 1991, I'm sorry, you heard it right. 1991, the Medal of Technology was awarded to Joseph A. Numero. That was a gentleman who helped create the silent. He converted the silent motion picture into an audiovisual one. So thank you, Marvel, for all those great films you got. Frederick McKinley Jones had a part in it. And Frederick Jones, President George Bush that President George Bush, yes, that President George Bush presented the award posthumously, meaning that they both had passed or were not alive at the time to receive the award in person. They're widows. That's right, widows, wives were at the ceremony. That's legacy. Again, real men have real women beside them. Their wives posthumously. You're with a man, you invest in a man that has skill, that has a plan, that has a mind for success. He ain't got his pants sagging. He's got a mind to go somewhere in the future. So one day you will get an award on his behalf because you were married to him. You can't be a widow without being married. Both their widows were at the ceremony at the White House Rose Garden. Jones was the first African American in 1991 to receive the award. In 1996, the Thermo King Model C refrigeration unit, the world's first front-mounted refrigeration unit for mobile trucks, was designated the International Mechanical Engineering Landmark by the American Society of Mechanical Engineers. He designed and built it from junkyard salvage. Will your kids ever learn this about that? You got all the kids walking around with dreads. You got all the kids walking around with their pants sagging. Will they ever learn their real history? That's right, hop off. That's right, hop off, you ignorant sons of... Exactly, hop off. Get out now and show your ignorance. Get out now and hide, continue on hiding the ignorance that you will not teach your children to be successful and be thriving one day in the world. Teach them they ain't shit. In 2007, Jones was inducted in National Inventors Hall of Fame, which honored, again, it's 2007, right? When Barack Obama elected in 2008? Barack Obama elected. (2009), but he was elected in 2008. 2007, you had a man that no one even talked about. He was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame. He was honored as a visionary veteran. And again, you got people leaving out because it gets to the hard part where we got to talk about, kids being not told their real history. Everybody's excited about Barack Obama, but we had first black everything being celebrated here by a man is the reason why you are being cooled in your house. The reason why you have a refrigerator in every household. He had to start it. And you're not being taught that. He died of lung cancer in 1961. We are still going through civil rights at this time, folks. Predeceasing his wife, Lucille. Most engineers start at the bottom of a project and work up, but Fred, short for Frederick, takes a flying leap to the top of the mountain and then backs down, cutting steps for himself and the rest of us as he goes. He continued filing for patents almost up to his death. The man did not stop in his later years in life, folks. Patent for the ticketing dispensing machine, design for the air conditioning unit. These are all patents that he got. Removable cooling units for compartments, means for automatically stopping, starting gas engines. Are you serious? 2-cycle gas engines. These are patents. Look at this list of patents this man did. He didn't get a college degree. He didn't come from education. He had to learn it in regular skill. He had every excuse to sit back and make what black people are making excuses about today. The reason why we can't be successful, systematic oppression. What he had it at a worse time than we ever have had. At least we have YouTube and other forms of search engine platforms where you can learn about it. We've got black people being into the highest levels of justice court, Supreme Courts, but we are still making excuses on how this man or that man holding us down because we live in a nay country. This man lived in the 1800s and he's responsible for technologies that everyone is using, including your broke ass. Refrigeration control device. Methods and means for defrosting a cold diffuser. Methods and means for air conditioning. Control device for internal combustion engine. Thermostat and temperature control system. If you ever said I'm too hot and go turn that temperature down, you better give a shout out to Frederick McKinley Jones. Right? And that's the problem. We are not learning where we have come from. I'm not talking, it didn't start with Martin and Malcolm. It started way before that, folks. Somebody's not being told something. And that's the reason why people won't read. People won't look stuff up. People won't type and learn. You're coming to Ancestry Lands to talk about, we went all the way in the beginning talking about the Super Boar. Went all the way in the beginning talking about the Ukraine and Russia and China. And now we're all the way up here talking about a black man that invented and innovated and got patents for stuff that we use to this very day. That whites, blacks, Indians, everybody on this in this world has started to use. It helped the US during times where there were wars and blacks were fighting in those wars themselves. Not complaining, but participating. This man learned the skills. He became proficient at the skills. He built the skills despite not having a formal education. He learned that his character mattered more in most areas and his ability than the color of his own skin. And the one thing he did not do, which is every person's kryptonite, black, white, Puerto Rican, brown, yellow, orange, green, blue, whatever else, was that he did not make excuses for why he could not be successful. And what he did was he brought it back to a welcoming community who shared his knowledge with love and open arms. Folks, you can always donate to the platform, $ Ancestry Lands, Ancestry Lands on Venmo. We appreciate your donations. We feel we deserve your donations for bringing in content that's education based. This content does not promote any hate or harm. This content is meant to bring you knowledge. This content is meant to give you inspiration. This content is meant to bring light to some of the things going on in your life and day that you're hearing from other places that really are not giving you the real. This is organic podcasts. Something I'm doing, leaving behind my legacy of trying to educate and help. I'm almost 42 years old. At this age, you have to start looking down and looking at the younger generation, and you've got to start speaking to them. You got to start talking to them. You got to start educating them, because the people before me, they didn't do a good job at all. I'm going to be real with that. And if you're offended, then I guess it's for you. Because look at the mess you have wrought. We don't have the Lewis Latimers anymore. We don't have the Bass Reeves anymore. We don't have the Frederick McKinley Joneses. What we have is the ignorance. We've got the talking points. We got the complaining, the whining. We've got all the things that talking about people who do not have knowledge of where they come from. They talk about slavery and how the slaves are stripped of their identity. Well, guess what? It's happening again because people won't simply watch, learn, or read. They won't build skills. They want handouts. We want PPP loans, but we won't actually start reading. We won't become proficient skill builders. We won't learn a skill. We won't do anything outside of trading our dollars for, or trading our time for dollars. We'll work at a company for 30 years, have to ask for time off, have to ask for time to spend with our families, but we won't build skills outside of that job. And then we complain about how somebody else is taken away from us. When you work at a job, you're building their business. It's their IP. That's how it's always been. They're bringing you opportunity. So it's not yours, even though you created. That's the lie people keep telling you. That's how business works. And it's worked that way no matter where you've been at. But again, we got to stop making excuses all the time. We got to start building skills and learning about what is real history, not the divisive racial history. I'm talking about people who had real racism, real systematic oppression, real lack of opportunity for upward mobility, and the people who still accomplish despite that. And they brought back this information and knowledge to the Black community, and they were welcomed. Not told they're not Black enough and not white enough, so you got to go on ahead because you're not as ignorant as me. These people learned from these innovators. And the thing about us is that they didn't retire. They just kept innovating no matter to the day they died. He probably didn't finish something that he wanted to work on before he succumbed to lung cancer. And we celebrate you today. Mr. Frederick McKinley Jones, we celebrate what you've done. Mr. Freeze.
All right, everyone, chill.
We celebrate Mr. Freeze today. Mr. Frederick McKinley Jones, the innovator, the creator, the refrigerator. The reason why you can turn your heat up or down and cool your place is because of this man, a man who's a military veteran. He achieved awards, still first Black man in National Medal of Technology. What he achieved was unprecedented, and he still was achieving to the day he died. Closing statements, folks. Closing statements. Folks, I'm going to keep doing this. I love doing this, actually. I love bringing you information organically. My humor, my personality, my thoughts, my mind is put into this podcast. It's not done for clicks, likes, views, whatever else. It's simply to leave a breadcrumb of information. It's meant to make you laugh, make you wonder, make you agree, make you disagree. Make you like me, make you not like me. But the one thing you will do will be entertained and you'll learn. You'll be brought some things of value from a different perspective. I'm not here to tear down, but I'm here to build up. I'm here to empower you and tell you that you're being sold lies. You're not being told truth. This isn't about what I see as men who are of value, who had women of value that valued him, that are widows receiving words on behalf of their man, the man they married and stuck through hard times in life. And again, we're seeing something's wrong with the world we live in today. And it's meant to destroy right down to the person. Black women are beautiful. White women are beautiful too. All women are beautiful. But we're being destroyed at the individual level. We're being taught ignorance, not knowledge. You know why? Because an ignorant person can be sold anything. I don't know where I heard this, but I said that you can always sell a fool anything. They can be told anything because they'll buy anything because they're a fool. Don't let people make you a fool, folks. You know why? Fools never prosper. Don't forget to donate $signs Ancestry Lands on Cash App, Ancestry Lands on Venmo. We're asking for donation, folks, because the podcast is separate. That is something I do to educate. I use this platform to grow it, to give people a different take on life. I want my kids to see this. They have a chance to see what is only recorded in history. I want my wife to see this, that this is the man she married. This is the man that she entrusted her future with. And that's something that men forget. When you get married to a woman, she's entrusting her future to you. So you better come correct. You better come ready to play. And stop making excuses for your own failure. Number 2. You got a job to do. A wife is a job, not a right. It is not a position that you get grandfathered in and you can rest on your laurels. Every day, you have to be willing to be the spear for your man being the shield for you in life. It's the shield and sword. You are the sword. He is the shield. You got to look at it that way. That's the power of a woman. The man shields you from all the world's ills. And the woman is the sword that comes in to attack once the man is defended. That's why they say provide and protect. You protect by being a shield for the world. You're a woman. And the woman's job is to be the man's sword. I'm spitting today, folks. And we've got the roles all wrong. We're attacking each other without looking at what our actual roles are when we decide we're going to do this thing together. And we lose sight of it because we're being told to be separate. Not one. Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, folks, I hope you are enlightened, educated, and entertained. This show is meant to give you moments of humor, harmony. Like this video, share, subscribe, folks. Ancestry Land. Go to YouTube. Go on YouTube. Give me some comments and engagement there. Go to the community section. Comment down. We got polls. I'm going to do a poll and ask, have you ever heard of Frederick McKinley Jones? Have you been taught it in school? Damn. This man is the reason why, women ain't got to be sweating in the middle of the night with box sweating like that. The reason why men ain't got to, douse himself in baby powder and look like Ashley Larry from Dave Chappelle Show. You know what I mean? This man did so much for this world, and he is not honored at the highest level throughout schools, everywhere. Why? We're failing. Phil Davis, make a donation, folks. $sign Ancestry Lands on Cash App, Venmo, Ancestry Lands. I appreciate you joining me. All the people that tuned in, I had fun. I hope you had fun too, folks. Stay tuned for tomorrow. We'll be back for some more action. Ancestry Lands. Phil Davis, I'm out. I'm your humble host. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day.